when I'm talking about SSR, of course. So I'm saying that if, without beating around the bush, 50% तो doubt, benefit of doubt देना पड़ेगा कि शायद it was a suicide. 50%, even someone who doesn't believe that.
Hi Aditya, welcome to Ketchup
Hi.
Talks. Ketchup Talks on Social Ketchup.
Thanks.
I saw the trailer and I have followed your journey and I've seen your films in the past as well. It's a very interesting trailer. I really have no words after watching the trailer because I'm thinking a lot about things and it's something that leaves something with you and I really want to watch the film.
Thank you. I'm glad you felt strongly for it. You obviously have. It's been a long journey with this one. I'm hoping that it's able to come out soon.
Yeah. No, but if I ask you in brief, if you had to explain this film or rather, tell someone about this film, what would you say?
I would say that though it talks about the whole system of suicide prevention centers, which we don't have enough of a conversation of in our country at all. Most people don't know about suicide prevention centers only. So it makes you understand the way a suicide prevention center works, the way people there work, how you can call, how the calls are conducted. So you get a sense of it. So people who feel that way would hopefully after this film reach out to a center. But it also talks about what the suicide prevention counselor is going through, which I think is really important. It's like we go to therapists, at least in larger cities, there are more number of people that go to therapists when they have any kind of problem. But even our therapists go to therapists. It's just something that we don't know about because that's not information we are privy to. So that's what the film also deals with, how the girl who's a 22-year-old Bori Muslim girl, how she gets affected by those calls and what she takes into her personal life with that. That's also what the film gets into.
This is a very sensitive topic, and like you said, not many people know about call centers and suicide prevention centers really about. I want to understand how much of research and how did you research for the film? I mean, so that
I went to.
The film could go really wrong in ways also in representation.
Absolutely. We went to suicide prevention centers, but one thing that we really realized was in India, as with everyone else, like independent filmmakers, suicide prevention centers also don't have money. So that was like, and when I say that, I mean that ideally you should have a private cubicle for each conversation because you're trying to save someone from killing themselves. It's about as serious a conversation as you can have in your life. And still, most centers, people were just sitting around one large table and pushing into one phone because they didn't even have money to create cubicles. And I'm talking about some of the largest ones. In Bombay has 21 million people, and the largest center in Bombay also had this kind of situation. So I think that whole state was really, you feel that I wish there was more. And it also comes from awareness. When you have, let's say, any very famous person committing suicide also in our country, it's easier to push it into some other story because it's more difficult to deal with the idea that famous, powerful, rich, young people also may want to kill themselves. Like it's very difficult for us to, and so we lose even that chance to talk about. Yeah, that's what I feel. Like for example, when I'm talking about SSR, of course, so I'm saying that if, without beating around the bush, 50% to benefit of doubt देना पड़ेगा कि शायद it was a suicide. 50%, even someone who doesn't believe that. Just like I am an atheist, but I give some percentage in my head that I could be wrong and maybe there is a God. You can never be 100% sure of your idea. No? Then you are a fraud in some sense. So I feel that if you give 50% chance at least that, let's say SSR had committed suicide, then at least explore that as an idea that means someone who's famous, rich, a Hindu boy in a majority community, all that, young, powerful, could also be depressed. That idea we have to start talking about as a society. Then we can move towards suicide. So, बात की बात है ना, we are still in that, so lost in that capitalist idea of life कि भाई successful है तो फिर तो young है, successful है तो कैसे हो सकता है? फिर और ही कुछ होगा. That's all.
It was a very crazy phase. It was a very crazy phase.
And to each their own belief, but मतलब at least benefit of doubt दे दो कि 50% आपने बाकी सब theories explore कर दी, ठीक है? आपका हक है. 50% तो इसको explore कर लो, लोगों को बात तो करने दो डिप्रेशन के बारे में, सुसाइड के बारे में. नहीं तो ये जो एक बहुत important मकाम था कि हम बात कर सकते थे उसके बारे में, हमने खो दिया. We didn't talk on it.
It became entirely a different thing. It never bothered even on suicide.
Yeah, that's all.
But you know, your films are usually based in a very real time setup. How do you do that in practicality? I mean, how do you shoot?
So
What
with this one,
struggles do you
because
really?
no fair. So this one, because we really wanted it to look and sound like a real conversation, and that's the I think one of the most challenging things in cinema is to make people talk like they've not said that before, because you're doing like 20 takes on something, so it always seems affected. It doesn't seem natural. So we had the suicide prevention center and the person who was standing on a terrace in the same building. So the first part of the film, which was about 6 scenes, we shot continuously. So it was a 27 minutes ka one take. We did it 22 times. So that's how it was. So that was obviously natural because people are talking real time. मतलब उसी बिल्डिंग में नीचे सेंटर क्रिएट किया गया था. उसी बिल्डिंग के 16वें माले पे हर्ष Shah was standing and he was talking. So we had cameras up and we had cameras down. We're coordinating the whole thing. Then we had 8 or 9 different terraces. मतलब in that film, she goes out into Bombay. I won't tell you why and how, but because that will kill the film. But it'll be a spoiler. And he is obviously standing on the terrace, like the whole conversation. So she's moving around Bombay and he's in one place. Like visually, that's what happened. And so because I wanted the actors to be close to each other so that after takes we can talk as a team and then, maybe make some changes. And if I give feedback, then you can change the take. We shot Harsh Shah's close-ups on 8 or 9 different terraces, but you can't make that out in the film. Nobody has been able to make that out at any festival also. So only when I say this and they're like, oh. Yeah. So that जहां भी रुचा थी बंबई में, उसके 100 मीटर दूर हर्ष शाह किसी टेरेस पे बैठा था, ताकि उसके बाद हम मिलके बात कर सकें टेक होने के बाद. So that doesn't become कि normally आप किसी डायरेक्टर को ये फिल्म दोगे तो क्या करेगा कि एक, because मिलते नहीं है कहीं ना, obviously फिल्म में तो कोई भी सुसाइड प्रिवेंशन काउंसलर मिलता थोड़ी है वो इंसान से, वो तो फोन पे ही बात होती है. So you can shoot one person and then you can go away and then you can shoot the other person and you edit it together. That's how. But we try to keep it as real as possible. ताकि वो जो finally every filmmaker is only trying to reach real life. Now you're trying to get as close to real life as possible. So you use all these ideas and tricks to make it seem closer and closer to a real conversation.
Yeah, but no, space is a huge thing in your film. It was there in your previous films as well, and it's very well explored. Because I was seeing the trailer also and I was like, she's taking a Kali Pili taxi, which is very common in Mumbai, and that makes you want to relate. Yeah, this could happen. I think that's great. Another important factor that I noticed were the dialogues. They were very beautifully written. I mean, they're not insensitive, but they're not also going towards too much poetic in a sense. Yeah. They keep the sense. So in terms of dialogue writing, which is right now also somewhere, I think degrading, I would say, it's not that great in films that were seen. What is your process of dialogue writing?
Because I've always written my own dialogue, so I think in Western cinema, तो one person only writes. It's in Hindi cinema that it has come because पहले बहुत सारे पटकथा लेखक जो थे, स्क्रीन राइटर्स थे, वो बाहर से थे, पर्शियन थे वो, या अलग अलग जगहों से थे जब सिनेमा शुरू हुआ इंडिया में. तो इसलिए डायलॉग राइटर का क्रेडिट अलग हो गया. बिकॉज फिर कोई जो हिंदी जानता था उसको बुलाते थे, बिकॉज वो डायलॉग्स इंग्लिश में लिखते थे. बाहर तो ऐसा नहीं है, एक इंसान लिखता है पूरा स्क्रीन प्ले, एंड स्क्रीन प्लेज इंक्लूड्स डायलॉग्स. यू डोंट हैव सेपरेट डायलॉग क्रेडिट. सो मेरे लिए इट हैज ऑलवेज कम आउट ऑफ द कैरेक्टर्स, बिकॉज यू नो द कैरेक्टर एंड वेयर दे आर फ्रॉम. जैसे अगर एक गोरी मुस्लिम लड़की है तो उसकी एक किस्म की जबान होगी और गुजराती आएगी उसमें, मतलब बिकॉज भाषा गुजराती में बात करते हैं. एंड शी इज अ सर्टेन एज and she's exposed to a certain kind of serials and certain kind of shows when she's talking to a friend also. एक सीन था फिल्म में जो कट गया फाइनल एडिट में, जब वो अपनी दोस्त से बात कर रही है, कौन सा नया शो देखा नेटफ्लिक्स पे, जो भी कॉन्वर्सेशन चल रहा है, तो उसकी एक किस्म की भाषा है फ्रॉम द एज, द काइंड ऑफ सोशल बैकग्राउंड शी कम्स फ्रॉम, द काइंड ऑफ पीपल शी मीट्स. जैसे हम सबकी भाषा बनती है तो उसकी भाषा एक बनी है उसी किस्म से. सो इट्स अ वेरी, आई थिंक वेरी ऑर्गेनिक प्रोसेस है. I just go by कि अच्छा ये फैक्ट्स है इंसान के, तो ऐसे बात करेंगे. कोई कहीं से जैसे टिकली लक्ष्मण में भाषा एकदम अलग थी, बिकॉज वो किरदार अलग अलग जगहों से आए थे, तो उनकी एक किस्म की भाषा थी, एक सर्टन रफनेस थी उस भाषा में. ये लड़की मिडिल क्लास में पली बड़ी है तो उसकी भाषा में एक वो रफनेस नहीं है, अलग ही किस्म से बात करती है. और हर्ष शाह तो एक इंसान भी काफी पॉलिश्ड इंसान है. बात भी मतलब जब अपनी निजी जिंदगी में बात करते हैं तब भी उनकी भाषा काफी पॉलिश्ड है. उनका इंग्लिश का यूज और हिंदी का यूज बहुत अच्छा है. तो वो किरदार भी ऐसा था और हर्ष शाह भी ऐसे. दैट बिकेम मच इजियर एनीवे. Like the dialogues also written, and then even if you would improvise, you would naturally improvise like the character, because his way of talking is also quite, it's a very literate way of, मतलब जो पढ़ा लिखा या तो अंग्रेजी या तो हिंदी, लेकिन पढ़ा लिखा इंसान दोनों भाषाओं में, वो उस किस्म की, so Ashwin Mathur talks like that, and Harsh Rai also talks like that. So even when we used to improvise, it was same.
Casual language has a way of going wrong in films as well.
Say that again. Sound. Yeah, that's true. Casual language is true.
Yeah. It becomes funny.
Yeah, both are.
So how do you avoid that it doesn't become funny in a sense?
I think a large part of that also depends on the way someone is performing a line. If the actors are really good, then nothing is funny if it's not supposed to be funny. It just depends. You make Saif Ali Khan say any line and it sounds funny. Anything. Like, he could be saying something really serious, because he's a person who talks like that. Like, I think a lot of his characterization in Dil Chahta has come because he is also like that. Like, he's able to keep a straight face and say things which sound funny. So I think it also becomes a largely, but to be fair, that same Saif Ali Khan in Sacred Games, you don't find him funny. You know, you take him very seriously in the whole show, at least season 1. So I think it's a large part of it is, yes, the writing, but it's also how the actor is delivering the dialogue. The same dialogue could be, like I had written in Tota Pataka, there's this dialogue where she says, Delhi, Noida, Ghaziabad, what was the other? Faridabad, अनगिनत शहरों में लड़कियां 8 बजे के बाद अपनी घड़ी देखने लग जाती हैं, और टाइम के बारे में बहुत अवेयरनेस हो जाती है, मतलब सडनली. तो वो जो पूरा डायलॉग था वो बहुत ही ड्रामेटिक टाइप था. अब अगर राजकुमार संतोषी और मीनाक्षी सिसारे उसको बना रहे थे तो वो दामिनी टाइप ड्रामा हो जाता, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. मतलब वो लाइनें ऐसी ड्रामेटिक हो जाती एकदम ऐसे. बट शालिनी वत्स इतनी अच्छी एक्टर हैं और उनकी एक्टिंग ट्रेनिंग इतनी अच्छी कि उन्होंने इतना मैटर ऑफ फैक्टली बोला है वो फिल्म में, तो वो ऐसी ड्रामेटिक नहीं लगती हैं. तो आई थिंक इट्स ऑल्सो द एक्टर्स, टू बी फेयर. Dialogue writer cannot claim credit for it, so it's really a large part of it is performance.
And how much did your actors research and work, or was it completely rely on you?
Harsh completely तो नहीं, दोनों ने research की, but Harsh relied more on me, and Rucha I think Rucha also, like, emotionally she relied, and as a director on set she relied a lot, which was really nice. But she went to Samaritans in Mumbai and spent a lot of time there researching how they talk. That definitely. But yeah, I think the filmmaking is such a beautiful team sport. You have to rely on your actors, and they have to rely on you. Like any one person who doesn't rely on the other, then it shows in the film. Yeah, like you take the same actor working in another film where they've not been able to lean on the director, and you can see their performances. It doesn't have that depth.
So
same for filmmakers. You work with some actor that's not good enough, you can't do anything. If your writing and your filmmaking skills, you can't do anything.
So by the end of the trailer, you ask a question to the audiences as to where they want to watch it, and for 1.5 years you have been trying to put forth this film, right?
Yeah.
And where would they want to watch it? What platform would they prefer? Why is that? Is the film struggling so much to come out? Because I was last Tuesday I was talking to last film show director and producer, and I was asking the same question to them, that how important it is for such films to find the right fit for a producer and a distributor. Yeah,
I think more than struggling so much, I really wanted, before we start really pitching the film around, I also wanted, so when we go to a platform, at this point we have, let's say, a lot of big reviews from actors and filmmakers of our country. Fortunately, we've had a great reaction from industry people, and we have these awards, and the fact that my last 2 films are on platforms. So this is what you take when you try to put a film out. I really wanted to add to that an audience's perspective also. So that's where I came from, really, more than it being. And that's why if you see the tone in my voice is not that of being bechara in any way. It's more because it was like, as a producer, we thought that because now there are hundreds of people on YouTube who have commented and tagged platforms, and it was the same on Facebook and Instagram. So that I think really helps when you try to put the film out, because there'll be somebody sitting in a platform office saying ki, I don't think it's what people want. Then you're like, okay, but now you can see that people want it. So you have solved that. That it was coming more strategically out of that than to say कि भाई हमारी हालत खराब है. इसलिए वो टोन ऐसा नहीं था, तो टोन में वो आ ही जाता हो कि अरे हमारी हालत खराब होगी, ऐसा नहीं था. इट वाज मोर कि 1.5 साल से हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं, मतलब yes, for a certain period of time platforms were not taking any indie films on, so that is a fact. But that's also because they had so much of a backlog of their own films. I think अब तो सबकी फिल्में निकल गई हैं, so hopefully it's going to be an easier time.
I'm glad you mentioned indie film because it was in the previous interview there was a discussion as well where they said कि अब demarcation खत्म हो गया है between indie and mass. There's no such terminologies as such that parallel cinema or indie cinema or mass or commercial cinema. Do you think the same that the demarcation or that
No
line
यार,
is
और खराब हो गया demarcation. बहुत ही demarcation खराब हो गया. I don't agree at all. It's a very simple statistical fact ना. आप अगर 2-3 साल पहले Netflix, Amazon का लिस्ट देखोगे तो उनपे साल में एटलीस्ट 6, 7, 8, 10 इंडी फिल्में आ रही थी. हर महीने 1-2 इंडी फिल्में आ रही थी. और मैं नाम भी लेके बोल सकता हूँ. ऑटो हेड नाम की फिल्म थी, गार्बेज करके क्यू की फिल्म थी, क्यू की दूसरी फिल्म ब्रह्मन नमन. दीज ऑल इंडी फिल्म्स. उसमें तब शशांक अरोड़ा कोई नहीं जानता था जब ब्रह्मन नमन आई थी. यहाँ अज्जी थी, देवाशीष मखीजा की, जिसमें the lady who's acted in that is not known by mass audiences anyway, but it was the film that was an interesting film. तो तब अब तो कुछ नहीं आ रहा है फिर, मतलब तो और भी खराब हो गया ना. बिकॉज अब अगर प्लेटफॉर्म्स भी सिर्फ स्टार्स के साथ काम कर रहे हैं और बाकी सिनेमा कहीं आ ही नहीं रहा है, तो मुझे तो लगता है वो लाइन ब्लर नहीं, वो लाइन तो सैंड में गाड़ दी है वो लाइन. ऐसा हो गया.
But Anurag Kashyap said this in an interview that the biggest buyer right now at Cannes is Moby. But then Moby...
No, he didn't say. I saw the interview. He didn't say that biggest buyer at Cannes is Moby. He said, in fact, even the films from Cannes don't get onto Netflix anymore. That's what he said.
Moby and
वो भारद्वाज रंगन वाला interview. Moby, as far as I know, doesn't have much of a budget in India to pay for films like that. So I don't think that that's true.
Yeah, but I was going for that. Moby is more of, it's a centric to indie.
Yeah, they have great films online, but I can't say I don't think. I know for sure that you can't make a film and recover your money if you sell it to a platform other than, because Movie is not a mass platform. So I don't think you can't recover your money by making a film for Movie India for sure at this point. It's because also they're new in the market. I think it's very different. Very, very different when it's a Drive My Car, which is an Oscar-winning film, which Movie buys internationally or gets rights internationally. I don't know how it works there, but for sure, because अगर ऐसा होता तो फिर तो कोई कंपनी नहीं होती. सभी ऐसे करते हैं, हर साल में 3 साल में 2 फिल्म बना लेता, वो तो आसान हो जाता. If it was that you can put out a film on any other platform than Amazon, Netflix, and Z and all these guys, and actually recover your money, तो फिर तो कोई nobody has any complaint on it. ऐसा नहीं है, ये तो problem है. And it's also because even platforms like Movie are finding their foothold in India, no? Which is such a star-driven market. So, I mean, that blame cannot be put on anyone. It's just how the situation is. Everyone is stuck in this together, figuring it out at their own, at their own pace.
Do you think we need like a movie, like in ground rooted movie from India?
No, not like movie, that. Movie is fine on its own. Movie is fine on its own. But I do hope that there are more players that come into the market. HBO was supposed to come into the market. I don't know what's happening. It was supposed to come in last year. I don't know where it stands, but more people coming in is definitely a good thing.
MX Player really performs well with a lot of the audiences.
Yeah, Tikli and Lakshmam is now a series on MX Player, so that's a nice thing. That's what. But I have no idea. The thing is, you don't get to know who has watched the film where, na? Like when someone writes a review on IMDb or something, you have no idea. So you don't know really, what the numbers are. It's all become quite secretive. You have no clue what's going on. Yeah. So जो बोलता है, you will say, ठीक है भाई. I'll take you at face value. What else to do? It's a bit like that.
That's all that I had, Aditya. Thank you so much for talking to me. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
And all the best for your film.
Thank you, Sakshi.